Hey Tim, how are ya?
Hey, Dr. O'Brien. Good. How are you?
I'm good. We've been out this for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's amazing.
crazy.
It's yeah, a quick adjustment.
I know. And then you never think it's gonna pass, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Wow. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Good.
uh, we got news that our school year is going to be a week shorter. They're going to collect computers and check kids out 1 week before we were all planning.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah,
But then do you stay on?
nope.
Wow.
Like we're just kind
Okay.
of ending the school year early. So it
Wow.
kind of rushes everything. But that's okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well, tell me a little bit about how your kids are doing before we dive into what they've been making. How are they doing?
they're doing all right. I've been getting this week more than others. I've been getting emails from old students, which has been kind of fun.
Oh.
I got 3 or 4 emails from students who are in high school now saying, "Hey, how's online learning going?" And been
Oh.
kind of fun to keep those relationships going. And then the kids in my group, they're doing all right. We've had some really successful Zoom meetings with this engineering project, where we've gotten upwards of 30 kids, which is the biggest one that we've had in our grade. So that's kind of nice.
Oh, nice. Good. Tim, have you figured out on Zoom how you can go from big group to small group and back to big group? There's a
Nope.
feature on it. Yeah,
I
that's
know there is a feature, but we haven't needed to use it yet. That's
okay.
something that if we don't go back in August, I'm going to have to do for our first project of the year next year. But we'll get to there when we get to there.
Yeah. Talk to me about a couple of specific kids that you're thinking about that you really paid attention to in the last week. Goes along with that tend,
Yeah.
that T of 10.
Um,
Tell me two stories.
so the one story, it's kind of been like the sad story. It's they lost a grandparent to the disease, to COVID, and no work is getting done. So we're just trying to figure out how to put deadlines in place where there's learning happening. So we just kind of did a week plan where Monday, Tuesday, they do as much work for this class, Wednesday, Thursday, as much for this class, just as much as they can. And then we're just going to pass the kid in the end. So, but
You collaborated with your teammates to do
yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah, we it was during our weekly meeting, we were able to just come up with like, hey, let's just spend 2 days and she can do math, and then 2 days and she can do language arts, and just whatever she gets done in those 2 days is just going to be what she gets done. Because there's really like it's weird to think there's only 10 days left.
Ugh,
Um,
wow.
it would feel very different if we were in school and there was 10 days left, but we're not. So it's a very weird feeling.
Right. Huh. Okay. Thanks for working with her. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a good solution.
I mean, it's the best we could do for this. So
Yeah. What about
yeah.
another student of yours that you tended
Um,
this week?
so a couple weeks ago, I brought up one student who was not logging in. Um, he like logged in and tried to catch up everything in 1 week. So I had to actually tell him like slow down, like do something that's, don't just fly through to get credit. Like I'll give you credit no matter what. So it was good to actually have some communication with this kid because he has been just AWOL for all classes for the first 4 weeks of remote learning. So it was good to have him back. And I think that, he had been not so honest in saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm doing my work," and really not. So it's
Right.
been good to have him back too.
Did you figure out the root cause of what was keeping him from doing his work?
We think it was his Xbox, and just
Oh,
the ability to tell his both of his parents are working as hard as they can from home, and he has 3 younger siblings who are doing school from home. So I think it was pretty easy for him to say, "Yeah, I'm good," because he's a really good. When we went to remote learning, he was the kid we're like, "Oh, like he's amazing in the classroom, but how's he going to do remotely?" And
right.
getting better, which is good.
Good. Oh gosh. Well, thanks for working with both of those kids. The most important thing we could do is tend to our kids right now.
That's how we spend most of our time.
No matter what happens, right?
That's right.
Okay. So, as you're winding down, I think we can go back to this task because you're starting to get some student work from your students.
Yeah.
Uh, and just as a recap, so we talked a lot about what your targets were, and your targets are tied to engineering standards.
Hmm.
Your students are designing a product that can help them communicate with other people in their neighborhood, and they're going through the design process that your school has adapted. So it's like design learning, but you guys have your own engineering design process based on standards.
Hmm.
You've talked a little bit about how you're getting students to talk to each other. Would love to hear that. Last time we talked about text, exploring technology, and then we always start with tend. So let's talk a little bit about the task. How are students doing?
They're doing really well. I'll show you some of their work here. Let me share my screen. There's been a few assignments out there. So we have some kids are kind of in this prototype stage. I'll show you this one first. You're going to see some names, sorry, where they're just sending an image and talking about this, and then they're sharing their notebook designs. And if you can kind of zoom in, they're really breaking down the parts in their component drawings, which is really cool. These are part of our standards that we go into our documentation standard and our prototype standards.
Can you go back to that picture of her drawing?
Yeah. And I'll just do this to make it bigger so we can see it on the screen. So she is basically doing a label drawing and getting as much detail on there and starting to use some language there. So measurements, which is good to see. So these are all things that we'd expect to see in the classroom. Not just labels, but labels and justifications, measurements of things, different angles of things, bullet points, and even some humor here with a wider blade that she's freaking out about not having. So that's kind of cool to see as well.
And those that language you're talking about is connected to the targets, right?
Correct.
And what you want to see in the targets in the design thinking.
Yeah, okay. These are all in these things. Drawing's careful. Every single part is labeled. The purpose, every part is explained.
Can you stop for 1 second? So this is one of your students right here. Tell me about this guy.
These are from our rocket units in the school. I just use them as examples.
Oh, okay. That was your model,
This was my model. And they saw this last week when they're like, how do you get here? These were the ones that they saw these before as well.
Okay.
So there's a really good artist from like 5 years ago when we did catapults, and here's some other stuff as well. So they, what I really tried to do is these expectations. These are the language of the standards in as simple and straightforward as I could possibly get them, because I've found that that type of communication has been a little harder with remote learning. There's a lot more academic ways to say every single part is labeled, but that was like, how can I get this as clear as possible in this template so that kids could know my exact expectations.
Right.
Usually in the process, there's obviously a little more room for gray area. So the language reflects that. But right now it's like, how can I say exactly what I'm thinking to you, which has been a kind of a challenge in building my language that way.
Right. Right. And then every student has this sort of format that they are uploading their drawings. Do you have another student drawing?
I have a few, yeah. Some kids, it's kind of fun. I'll show you some because they're fun. They're just sending me their videos of their things working, which was another part of it.
Okay.
The failure one, she's making a compilation of all the other failures, which is kind of funny.
Tell me more about that. That's super interesting. What a great thinking skill.
Yeah, because she's like, yeah, I was super excited. This is my first test. And obviously you can see it over and over, just fail miserably and dump all of it. So you might get all the stuff to fail. So we have a discussion board in our Google Classroom of just post your fail videos and pictures. And there's a few in there, but hopefully there'll be more by 8 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
We have some success videos. We got this mousetrap car. I'll mute the audio because I think someone calls him a dummy at one point. So this one, that's pretty cool. Like a rat trap car that goes, pretty far. So it's just kids making do with what they have, working their best in the street. The other thing that they're doing is they have this testing and evaluating stuff, where this is getting quantitative and qualitative data about every single time they test it, evaluating it, and then ideas for redesigning it. And this girl's way ahead. That's why I'm showing this as the example, because it's filled out. But she did this for every single test. My vehicle moved 6 feet. I moved 90 pounds. It ran for 10 minutes, which is absolutely incredible. My vehicle went 2 miles. I moved 137 pounds. They kind of dragged something behind their car. So it's a little bit, of a cheat, but it works pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And more, it's about documenting their trials, right? Because that's
right.
The engineering
and how to redesign it. I think I'm going to go back to carrying books and replace the second pink roller with an easy roller. And then, yeah, that's kind of how it's really getting into like that process, which normally is something we do in the classroom, but for her, it's very much like right now, it's like, here's this template. And, it's okay to have kids filling out templates because when you see thinking that's that quality, it turns out really good. So that's going to be my example for next week will be that students.
So each week you're showing them a new example, a new model, so that they can hit those standards. Great. Really smart.
We're getting way ahead. Yeah. Because that's been another cool part of remote learning is there's some kids who, we realize the pacing is real slow for them. Like, what can I do next? 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 So
yeah,
flying through there. And I think some kids are going to be able to hit, but like, hey, do you want to be done with 7th grade this week? And then, for next week. So we'll see how that goes.
Great. How are you thinking about, so everyone's going to turn in they're going to turn in what tonight at 8 o'clock?
Tonight will be those design and drawing templates, and then at least a couple rounds of testing. I think 2 rounds is what the thing says.
Okay. Then how are you thinking about, and maybe you're not there yet, just kind of wrapping up and celebrating the end of this unit with your students?
So the last step of our process is just communicating your results. And I think that that's where I need to get creative. And I think I'm going to try to do a Flipgrid and have them just do like a video diary entry of what they did, how it worked. If they could show their machine in the background, that would be cool. I'm going to let that one student just make her fail video as her, you know,
Mhm.
I think, yeah. So I think I'm going to do a Flipgrid just video discussion. Usually we do it in like a formal write-up, but I don't think that um, with every single teacher trying to wrap up the school year in the next 2 weeks, I want to make it valuable, but very quick.
Okay, great. One last question for you, because I know your son's about to wake up.
Yeah, we're running up to it.
Um, if you could think, and I'll give you a minute to think about it, what sort of thinking or dispositions did you hope that students would grow in this last 5 weeks remote? What was the thinking or the kind of thinking dispositions you were hoping students would grow, and are they there?
Um, One thing that was a big push is that I spent a lot of time building a class culture and class norms around, working hard and working collaboratively, and how to completely cut off that part of the class and have kids manage and regulate themselves. So self-regulation was a big part of
Mm,
it.
mm,
Um, Advocacy was a big part of it. Um, and then, just kids pushing further than the standards would say, and like going that extra mile and trying to do is, with the extra time they have, because they're not tied to a schedule, that they're really going to extremes to do work. On the first one, in terms of kids working and being self-reliant, it's been okay. I think I could have done more early had I known how kids would have struggled. I could have done more early to say, hey, this is what self-reliance looks like. This is what it looks like to be an online student. I think that, I hate to say it, but if we do start remotely next year, that's going to be the first unit for every teacher. Here's what being an online student looks like. How do you be a successful online student, and not giving them work until we've kind of built some habits. As far as kids going above and beyond, there's been a handful, and I think more than normal, which is good. Usually it's 2 or 3 kids will take work outside of class and go as far as they can with it. And here we're seeing, 8, 9, 10 kids really going for it.
mhm.
One kid built a dog chariot and is pulling stuff with his dog. And he's like, no, I got to figure out how to train my dog to go where I want it to go. And so he was spending hours just training his dog. He's sending me these 30-minute videos of him like trying to get his dog to go to his neighbor's house. So more kids are going kind of that above and beyond the standard piece. But I think that, yeah, that self-advocacy and self-regulation, we're going to have to, that hasn't gone as well as we hoped they would grow just by doing this, and they haven't. So I think that's something that we're going to have to, if we start remotely, reteach, or if we go to school and then learn we have to go remotely, like jam that in there somehow.
Right. All right, Tim. Well, thanks for your work with your kids. Can't wait to see all the products at the end.
Yeah, it should be really fun.
Okay. Hope you get great work tonight from your students. Thanks for everything you're doing for them.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thanks for your help.
Okay. Bye.